What's up, y'all? Back at it once again. Iskosi, a fun day. You know what I'm saying? Kicking this knowledge from who you and yours. And the other day I was watching Bill Maher. Matter of fact, yesterday. Come to think of it, you know what I'm saying? And I rarely watch Bill Maher. He's a liberal racist to me. You know what I'm saying? He had Ann Coulter on there, and Ann Coulter smoked him bad. But he brought this article from the New York Times. He talked about Jewish prison. You know what I'm saying? And I thought he was messing around. I thought he, BSing, like this dude up here playing around about that. So I typed in the article, you know what I'm saying? That, I thought he was just making some parody, some joke and stuff, whatever. So I typed it in, and here it go right here. Michael Cohen, prisoner choice. Well known to Jewish offenders. This is from the New York Times. And it was put out, you know what I'm saying, January 22nd of this month, 2019. So we're going to read this, let you know. When Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer, was sentenced last month to 3 years in federal prison on fire charges, he had the right to request any number of prison camps favored by white-collar offenders for their relatively resort-like settings. But Mr. Cohen chose a shabby, low-slung building 75 miles northwest of New York City with an adequate weight room, an uneven tennis court, and no swimming pool. What the minimum security camp at the Correctional Institution of Otisville, New York, offers is a rarity in the federal prison system. A full-time Hasidic chaplain who oversees a congregation of dozens of Jewish inmates who gather for prayer service 3 times a day. For a Jewish person, there is no place like Otisville, said Earl Seth David, 54, a former inmate who attended kosher meals, religious classes, and regularly Shabbat services in prison show. And a shared space where the Torah scrolls are locked up every night. As a Jew, there is no other prison you can get services like that. Otisville camp has long been a lockup choice among Jewish white-collar offenders, including Sheldon Silver, the former Speaker of the New York State Assembly, who was convicted on federal corruption charges. Silver, who was free on bail, pending an appeal, had requested to serve a 7-year sentence at the camp. Otisville is one of the closest federal lockups in New York City, making it attractive to non-Jewish convicts as well, including Dean Slocos, the former New York State Senate Majority Leader, who reported to the camp this month to begin his 4-year sentence on bribery and other charges. Mike, the Situation Santino, the reality star from Jersey Shore, recently arrived at camp to serve a sentence for tax evasion. The camp, which sits near Otisville main prison, a much larger medium security lockup, has a population of 120 inmates, including drug dealers and other street-level criminals with good prison records. But most inmates are Jewish, and many of them are Orthodox or Hasidic, and many are doctors, lawyers, accountants, businessmen who committed fraud. Few also have backgrounds as ordained rabbis, and once inside, sometimes assume spiritual leadership roles. Inmates periodically hold an informal vote to elect a Gabby that runs the show, which is currently led by a Hasidic man from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, who was locked up on arson and corporate fraud. There has never been a problem reaching the Mayan or a quorum of at least 10 Jews need to hold service at the camp, where the inmates live continuously in the Darwin-style housing units and sleep in bunk beds. Orthodox inmates wear fringes vests known as tzitzit under their green prison uniforms. Prison worships are scheduled around daily prayer services and Sabbath observations. Before many holidays, the men are taken by prison to bus to a nearby town for a traditional mikvah bath. The list of prominent people in Otisville reduced to doing menial jobs is long. Ken Starr, a money manager who siphoned millions from his celebrity clients, wiped down mess hall tables during his stay. Walter Forbes, an executive charged with security frauds, mopped floors according to the former inmates. Hassan Nawazizi, an investment banker and a political bundler associated with the Clintons, cleaned bathrooms while serving time for bank fraud. Federal prison camps are not available to certain offenders, like those with sentences more than 10 years. So Bernie Madoff, who received 150 years for his Ponzi scheme, had his request for Otisville denied. Messages left for prison officials at Otisville will not return. The Bureau of Prison Officials will not provide any specific information on the Jewish services at the camp. Over the years, federal officials have sort of carved out a place out as a special location to put Jewish inmates. Let me read this again. Over the years, federal officials have sort of carved out a special location to put Jewish inmates, said Benjamin Bradford, a prominent defense lawyer who represented numerous defendants who have requested Otisville. There are kosher vending machines in the visiting room. The prison commissary sells skull caps for $6 and offer kosher collections of matzah, jellied fish, ragata, and salsa. Hey, it's not Zanzibar. It's a little overpriced, said one former inmate, Lawrence Dresser, 52. But what do you want? It's prison. While kosher meals 3 times a day come in pre-packaged trays, inmates make the Sabbath and holiday meals from scratch in a small kosher kitchen to be eaten on shoals on table with bed sheets as tablecloths. You feel like you're back home singing Sabbath songs with other inmates, Mr. Drexler recalled. The camaraderie helps you take away from the place for a little while. With limited ingredients, inmates devise innovative ways to make Passover Seder meals, including kosher chicken, handmade matzah, horseradish, and grape juice. They often reproduce foods from repackaged meals and supplement it with food smuggled out of the kitchen or the supply room, said Jeff Wiseman, 46, who served time in the camp on mail fraud charges and worked in the kosher kitchen. For a while, inmates assembled a large wooden sofa shelter outside and sit and eat meals. The camp has little way of offenses or bars, and for the observant Jewish inmates, it's the closest thing you have in Nirvana in federal prison, said Joel A. Stickler, a criminologist and a consultant who advises mostly white-collar offenders from facing prison time. But Mr. Davis said it was no picnic. That club fed stuff is a myth, said Mr. Davis, a lawyer from Manhattan who served 4 years in 7 federal prisons, including Otisville, on immigration fraud charges. There's no swanky pool. You're up at 6 a.m. every morning for inmate counts. The guard can raid your bunk at any time. You get 0 rights, 0 privacy. You're sleeping next to 100 snoring men. So being able to practice your faith will help you survive. Mr. David added that religious services always come first, while in other prisons it's just the opposite. Many inmates knew the Talmud inside and out, said Mr. Drexler, a lawyer in New Haven who served 18 months in Otisville for mortgage fraud. They often conducted religious classes and gang inmate following as they did at Hasidic Rabbi from Brooklyn who got caught up in mortgage fraud before the 2008 housing crash. Then there's a Syrian rabbi from Dean, New Jersey, who was involved in a money laundering scheme and whose parables were particularly enjoyed by Russian Jewish inmates from Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, who were in prison for healthcare fraud. Another spiritual leader was Tafizu Weiss, the grand rabbi of the Sphinx set of Hasid in Brooklyn, who was locked up for a charity donation scheme. Lawyers for Mr. Cohen did not respond to the message, and it's still uncertain when Mr. Cohen will wind up at Otisville. The federal judge in this case had agreed to recommend that he be assigned there. Let me repeat this again. The federal judge in this case agreed to recommend that he be assigned there, but the decision is ultimately made by the Bureau of Prisons, which is under the Department of Justice. Perhaps more than that, Mr. Sicker said the high-profile nature of Mr. Cohen's case could hurt his chance of being sent to Otisville, simply because the federal officials might want to avoid giving the impression that the inmates get to automatically choose their own prison. Mr. Drexler said Otisville inmates would probably ostracize Mr. Cohen at first because he provided some inside information about Mr. Trump and therefore qualified as a rat in the cell block circles. It's part of the code, Mr. Drexler said. A lot of inmates in there because people testified against him. Half of the Chandler camp is about rats. So he had to listen to a lot of that. So this is crazy. So this is where it's at. You know what I'm saying? So the feds got a special department, special, prison for Jewish prisoners that they send. And they send them there to get them up out of there, so they won't be in general population and none of that stuff like that. And they protect them. No camps, no nothing. Even though Cohen is a snitch and a rat, he can still go to this prison because they know nothing's going to happen to him. You understand what I'm saying? And they know he's Jewish, they're going to look out for him and protect him. So if that's equality under the law, or that's justice, then hey, baby, you understand why for us black people it's just us. Because we would never get that type of clarity going through that type of system. You understand me? Well, this is a Coast Gift Fun Day. You know what I'm saying? Dropping a notch for you and yours. Hey, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Peace.